Tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Africa, jikaze, America. Tujikaze, jikaze.
You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okello, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.
Greetings, beautiful people. My name is Simon Javan Okello. I hope you are all doing great. I am in Seattle, Washington, and I know that we are live across multiple platforms, but I'm really excited to introduce my guest today. We are really privileged to be hosting Chulu Chansa, who is an incredible leader and the founder of Africana Woman, is joining us for today's conversation here in the African Father in America podcast. Chulu, how are you? Just say hi to everyone watching the show before we continue.
Hi, everybody. I hope everybody's having a fantastic week. I'm so excited to be here.
That's beautiful. Thank you. I am really privileged that you're here. You know, you're one of those leaders that everybody wants to have a few minutes with, and I really commend you for all the amazing work that you do. And I've really never hosted a guest from Zambia for the show, so you have many fasts. You know, you break many many doors and many barriers, and this seems to be one of those barriers. So for those who are joining us for the first time here in the African Father in America podcast, we produce a show where we ground ourselves on African proverbs and ancestral African wisdom. So every day at the beginning of the show, we share a new African proverb with the hopes that you learn something from it, you gain some wisdom from it. So today we have a beautiful proverb from the Ashanti community in West Africa. I'll share it in just a second. Before I do that, I want to share with you a little something about the Madaraka Festival. I'm really excited about the Madaraka Festival that is happening on May 16th in New York, May 21st in Atlanta, and May 24th in Dallas, and then May 26th, the grand finale in Seattle, Washington. So grab your tickets at madarakafestival.com. This year's festival is headlined by Kenya's own Sauti Sol, King Kaka, also from Kenya, and also the Grammy-nominated Eddie Kenzo from Uganda. And we also have a plethora of amazing artists from Africa and the rest of the African diaspora. So go to madarakafestival.com and grab your ticket. They are going away very fast. So I'm here with Chulu, and Chulu is a well accomplished lady who is going to share with us incredible stories about herself. But first, our proverb for the day says that if you are hiding, don't light a fire. If you are hiding, do not light a fire. Share with me in the comments what this proverb brings up for you. What do you think this proverb means? Share with me in the comments. And also, I want to share 3 nuggets of wisdom related to this proverb, and then we will hear from Chulu Chansa in regards to this proverb. You know, we'll hear what this proverb means for Chulu. So first, the first nugget of wisdom here says that being true to yourself and your values can help you live a fulfilling life. Being truthful to yourself and your values can help you live a fulfilling life. You know, it just lightens the load for you. You know, it makes life easier for you. You have less worries and less skeletons in the closet because you know that you're honest to yourself. You know, number 2, pretending to be someone you are not can lead to feelings of emptiness and loneliness. This is very prevalent, especially in this era of social media, in this era of TikTok, where everybody wants to be somebody. You know, everybody looks up to creators, or politicians, or influencers, or characters in movies that they are not. It takes you so much it takes you so far away from who you really are, so pay attention to that. That's what this proverb is telling us. And then finally, authenticity can inspire others and lead to more meaningful connections. There are those friends, there are those family members that are so authentic that they do push away some people, but then they draw the right people around them. And you should aspire to be one of those people that are so authentic and are so real that you don't have many friends, but you have real friends. So those are our 3 nuggets of wisdom in relation to today's proverb from the Ashanti community. And it says, if you are hiding, don't light a fire. Chulu, what do you think about this proverb?
Yeah, well, when you think of proverbs and you're thinking about them in the context of the time that they came about, I would imagine, either let's say tribes are at war or such situations. So obviously, if you're in hiding, you don't want to bring any attention to yourself, right? Um, I think putting it into application in present day, what comes up for me is I work a lot with entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs, right? And I think when people start, when you have an idea, sometimes it's very tempting to want to share it with everybody, right? And I think that there are times, especially when you're just birthing something, it needs to be hidden first. You're only going to show it to select few. You're only going to get a bit of wisdom from a few people, but it doesn't need to be out there all over social media just yet. At least develop it, develop the idea, set the foundation, and then you can bring yourself out into the light.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, because the moment the cat is out of the bag, if I may use that, you can't take it back. In Kiswahili we say that maziwa yakimwagika hayazoleki, which means that once the milk has been dumped, you can't recover it. It's gone. And I love your perspective on this. For those who are joining us, this is a beautiful conversation with Chulu Chansa, whose superpower is creating safe spaces for uncomfortable conversations. And this is amongst diverse groups of people. Chulu was born in Zambia and has been educated in over 3 continents and is fluent in diversity and equity and inclusion. And these are matters that are very critical, especially in this time where we are a global village. So Chulu is also the founder of and CEO of Africana Woman. Chulu, a lot of the time I ask my guests to share a childhood story, something that happened when you are 8 to 16 that truly continues to inspire who you are today, as a leader. And when you look at your background, you are a Davis scholar, you've been a Yali Southern Africa Fellow, founder of Exceptional Youth Zambia. You founded so many things, but all of this started from somewhere, And for me personally, I always tell people about the story of when my mother gave me a bicycle. I was 8 at that time. To help her distribute milk and bread in our community, And since then, I feel that I've always been finding solutions to problems, but also figuring out how that process can allow me to earn a living, make some money, but also connect with people in the community, build community, and transform our lives, I want you to share with us something similar that continues to inspire who you are as a leader.
Yes, absolutely. So when I was a baby, I think probably less than a year, my family pierced my ears, and then as a child, I got so irritated, so I ripped them off, and then I developed keloids. So if you're not familiar with keloids, it's basically an external scar. Okay, so most of the times when you get a scar, it will heal, you don't see anything, but keloids, they tend to grow. So it's kind of like you have these natural earrings that start to grow, right? And I had that from about 0 years to maybe about 8 years old. And then my mother saw that they were like growing too much, and she didn't wanted to affect my standard of living, or getting bullied or anything like that. So she decided to make a plan, and so she said, okay, I need to find somebody who can operate, take them off. She found somebody, and then but then the person wasn't in Zambia, they were in Zimbabwe. So now she had to raise money to take me to another country to do the surgery. So she decided to host an event, and it was a fashion show, and she brought in different singers, much like what you are doing, hey. So she brought in the biggest singers of that time, and then had a whole fundraising event. People were pledging different things, like my flight tickets to go to Zimbabwe and things like that. And I think from that, and I did go for the surgery. And as you can see, I don't have natural earrings. But I think what inspired me most about that particular thing my mother did for me was, one, how she garnered the community to work together for a common cause, and just being resourceful as a woman, as as a mother, and not giving up. I think that's something that I have taken with me, and I do a lot of events. I'm currently organizing a podcast tour for the Africana Woman podcast, and it's really amazing how it's come up just like this, where I said, guys, I'd like to do a podcast tour, and the women in my community were so helpful in making sure that things were being put in place. And it really just reminds me of how that event happened and how this one has come about.
I love that. I love that. Are you going to tour the US with the Africana Woman podcast?
One day, one day. Right now, we're just
Yeah.
starting with Zambia. So it's
Yeah.
a two-city tour. We're going
Yeah.
to Lusaka, Kabwe, and Kitwe. So yeah, very excited.
Yeah, man. Include the US in your future tour. Include Kenya in your future tour, and
Yes, I have
yeah.
to go to Kenya. You won't believe, I have so many connections and people in the community who are from Kenya. And I always say, Kenya is calling me. I just need to get there one day.
That's beautiful. Yeah, we share a lot in common when it comes to event production and community building, and just being in the community and doing work in the community. I love that. I love that. And now that you are a podcaster, I want you to look at what you do with Africana Woman. Look at your podcast. Look at the work you do with DEI, diversity, equity and inclusion, but also look at your experiences with Dialis, Southern Africa. Look at your experiences with the youth in Zambia, ANC. See, the work you've done as a representative in the United World Colleges International Council. All of this amazing work that you've been doing, including being a wedding cake designer. We must have a sweet tooth like me. When I see
Yes,
cookies or sweet things, I can't control myself. Anyhow, so when you look back, what is it that makes you most proud, that you want everyone watching to know you for, of everything you do? What is it that you'd be sitting around the fire one day as an elder and telling your little community of children or grandchildren or great grandchildren that in 2023 on 20th April I was talking to this guy called Simon on his podcast, and this is what I told him that I was most proud about.
Yeah, I think what I am most proud about is saying yes to my dream. I think a lot of times, we are given a dream, we're given a vision, but we get scared, we punk out, we come up with so many excuses. No, the kids are still in school. No, it's not the right time. No, I don't have money. No, I don't, all different types of excuses. But I think, in 2019, I had to make a very difficult decision. At that time, I had a very successful wedding cake business. I also, was working in a very good job, but I wasn't satisfied. I wasn't fulfilled because I wasn't operating in my purpose, right? And first of all, I had to realize that what I was doing was not fulfilling. And then I had to say, okay, now that I know what the problem is, because I was depressed, now that I know what the problem is, what am I going to do? And I went on this journey and I discovered that I really, really wanted to empower African women and, build community. And I mean, it was a total pivot from what I was doing. So to make the decision to say yes to that dream was very difficult. There was a lot of tears involved, but I decided to do it. And 2 years later, I tell you, I am so, so happy. I'm so proud of the community that we're building as Africana women. I am so proud of the impact, the lives that are being changed, the transformation that is happening because of the women who have come through our program. And, it's just amazing. And I mean, literally, if I had not said yes, when I look at the women whose lives have been impacted now, that wouldn't have happened.
I love that. One thing you said at the beginning of your response is saying yes to your dream and how scary it can be, and that's so true. That's so true also for me. But I also think it's true for a lot of people who are listening and watching our conversation today. And I just love that in regards to, your response. I want you to think about your favorite episode of the Africana Woman podcast. I want you to talk about it for a moment. For now, I just want to thank everyone who is joining us here for the African Father in America podcast. Today is a really, really special, episode and a special occasion here with the incredible Chulu Chansa, who is, I would say, one of the African superwomen of our time. Every generation has women that deserve to be celebrated, and I feel that you're one of those women that deserve to be celebrated. If you're joining us on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. But if you're joining us on TikTok or TikTok, if you're joining us on TikTok, make sure you share this live and also double tap the screen so that I know that you're there. And also comment, whether you're on LinkedIn, Facebook, or Twitter, make sure you comment in the comment section so that we know that you are engaging with our conversation today. And also, if you're joining us and you don't know what the proverb for today is, it's from the Ashanti community, and it says that if you are hiding, don't light a fire. If you are hiding, do not light a fire. I shared the 3 nuggets of wisdom related to this, and also we learned a little something about this proverb from Chulu. But now, Chulu, I want you to talk about your favorite episode, but also we have amazing people who are watching who probably just want to support you. They don't want to hear anything. They're just saying she's amazing and I want to know how I can donate to her organization. I want to know how I can buy something that she's selling. They just want to support. Where can they go? And what are your social media handles so that they can stay connected?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's very easy to find us. It's Africana. So at the end of African, add an A, Africana Woman. So the website is africanawoman.com. On all social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Africana Woman. That's all you have to search. And once you go to any of those platforms, our world opens up to you.
That's fantastic. Your favorite episode of the Africana Woman. First of all, what inspired your podcast? What inspired your podcast, and what is your favorite episode?
Yeah, there's
I
so
don't
many
get
things.
interviewed as much as a podcaster, so I take advantage when I have a podcaster on my show, because I know the blood, sweat, and tears that it actually takes to even be a podcaster. Being a podcaster is also like a photographer. A lot of photographers are always behind the camera. They're just taking pictures, but when are their pictures going to be taken? So it's the time for you to have your pictures taken.
That's so true. I'm so used to asking the questions. So, yes, we have a podcast which is called Africana Woman. It's an award winning podcast. Last year, it won the Best Society and Culture podcast in Africa from APVA. So, that was a very, very proud moment. Now, when I was starting the podcast, when it's actually funny, I did a talk which was called The Power of African Women, Past, Present, and Future. And when we came to the Q&A section, somebody asked me like, oh, are you going to document women's stories? And at the time I laughed. I was like, no way. But I guess that was a seed that was planted. So the reason why I believe that the podcast is so necessary is one, our history books are so terrible at telling the story of African women, right? Even when you look at the word of history, history is literally his story. It's his story, it's about men, and it's written by men, which means that we need to take control of the narrative and make sure that at least for this generation, we will not be forgotten. That's the first one. Then the second reason is because I believe that, I think in Africa, we live in a society where there's a lot of, let's empower women. And most of the time we're talking about women in rural areas, right? But there's not really anything that's catering to the urban woman. So then she gets educated, she gets the job like, she's been told, but then for some reason, things are not making sense. Right? She's living hand to mouth because there's no financial literacy. She hasn't been taught that. She finds herself in an abusive relationship, but because everyone will look at her like, oh, you're educated and you've got such a good job, how can you get yourself in such a relationship? And then we tend to think that, oh, I'm the only one that's going through that. But that's not true. So we tell stories of women, African women on the continent and in the diaspora. And they tell us, their highs, their lows. But for the listener, what I really want for them to know is that they're not alone. And if they just take that one step, they can find help. So that's the second reason. Yeah. Can I go into my favorite episode?
I would love that. I would love that.
All right. So my favorite episode. Well, I've got a lot. I think when you listen to the podcast, you usually hear me saying, "Oh my God, I love this episode." But one of my favorites is a conversation I had with Marianne. Marianne is the only Black female hotel owner in Marrakesh, Morocco. And she is her father, I believe he's from another West African country, and then they moved to France, and her mom is of West Indies descent. And yeah, and then she tried to be an architect in France, but then they told her no. So then an opportunity came. She became a lawyer. Then an opportunity came up for her to go to Marrakesh and do a house for her family, which she did. And that's where she just stepped into her passion for art and architecture, and she's built this beautiful hotel that is just got all these custom pieces. She works with different artisans and preserving the artwork, the craftsmanship that has been passed down from generation to generation. And it's really such an inspiring story, because a lot of times people will tell you, it's in your heart that I'm meant to do this. This is who I am. But then systems or people will speak on you and tell you that you can't do it. But when it is just who you are, it will eventually find you in the end. So I absolutely love that story.
Yeah, I
And the
love that story.
exciting thing is we are, as Africana women, we are going to, we have a retreat and we're going to Marrakesh. So we are going to visit her hotel. So I'm very excited about that.
That's incredible. Well, it's only Africana women listeners or Africana. Is there a membership model to the Africana women movement? Ah, that's very
Yes,
smart. That's very.
yes.
Now I have. Tell me how that works. Tell me how that works. I could be your student.
Well, we've got free resources. So we've got the podcast. There's a lot of lessons there. Anybody can listen to that. So Africana Woman, all you have to do is look on your favorite podcast app and you'll find it. We've got a blog on the Africana Woman website. So just go to the website, you'll find the blog. There's a lot of topics. We talk about, finding self, emotional intelligence, all sorts. So those are some of the things that you can tap into. And then when you now want to start talking to people, I'd say the first entry is our book club. So we have the Africana Woman Book Club, and in the book club we actually have both men and women. So it's a fantastic space. We read one book a month, and then we have a book review at the end of the month. And for the most part, we've been reading a lot of African literature, which has been so fascinating, because then you're able to see yourself in the stories, in the characters. I think, when we were growing up, a lot of the stories, a lot of the books were all about other countries. But then when you can find literature that speaks to who you are, it's really fascinating. And the conversations are so, they're so, what would I say, deep, intellectual. And, people, like, when they say, like, you go there in a conversation, like our community really goes there. Then we have what is called the Africana Women Visionaries. And this is a paid membership. And in the Visionaries, what we do is we promote holistic wellness. A lot of times we tend to think about our wealth, our health, in very compartmentalized ways, but we believe that everything is connected, right? So, if you are not doing well in one area of your life, most likely in another area, it's going to get affected. So we have networking events, we have weekly journal prompts, we have a masterclass every month. We also host a virtual co-working space, which is called the Vision Hour, and you can come in there to work on something that is your vision, because a lot of times we're working on other people's things. We're working on work and kids and family, but this is a time when you can focus on your dream and put in some work on that. And then we also have our retreats. So we've got 5 retreats this year. The ones, like I mentioned, we're going to Morocco, Marrakesh, and then the other 4 will be in Zambia. But anybody from anywhere in the world can come and attend any of the retreats. So all you have to do is visit our website, africanawoman.com, and all of the information about the retreats is all there.
This is incredible. And it's no joke, It's no joke to do all that. I have a good idea about, I have a good idea about getting things done. And there's an African proverb that says, if you want to get things done, look for a busy person. And I think you're one of those busy people, Anyway, when is the retreat in Marrakesh, and what are some of the dates that these retreats are happening, so that those who are watching who might be interested can actually participate?
Yes, so the retreats are going to start in the second half of the year. We are starting with the Worthy Walk, which is in July. And then the one to Marrakesh is on 17 to 22nd September. So it is 6 days, 5 nights. We've got wonderful activities that we will do throughout our time there. But at each retreat, I think I always have to put a disclaimer that, there's a difference between a retreat and a vacation. So at a retreat, you are coming to work on yourself. So there's going to be meditations, reflections, the programs that will take you through. The one in Marrakesh it's a framework that I call KNOW, and KNOW is an acronym. The first one is knowledge, so knowing who you are and whose you are. N is nourish, always operate in obedience. W is weakness. And then there's another retreat, which is in August, that's called Reinvention, writing a new story. So, if you're feeling that you are stuck, things are just not moving, and maybe you're at a transition in your life, then that is a great one for you as well. So that's just a few dates and information.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. For those who are joining us for today's episode of The African Father in America, or for those who are joining us for the first time, my name is Simon Javan Okelo. I am the host of the AFIAPodcast, and today I am truly honored to be hosting Chulu Chansa, who is the founder of Africana Woman. This is a movement. It's a podcast. It's a series of retreats. It's a transformative community, especially for women. So check them out. What's the website again, Chulu?
It's africanawoman.com. So after African, add an A, africanawoman.com.
Excellent. I have been joined here by my second born daughter, so I am just telling her to settle in because I want her to kind of see how this whole thing happens. She's familiar with it, but when she shows up, she woke up so early. It's 6:30 in the morning. So anyhow, it's always a privilege hosting beautiful ladies, on the show and also behind the scene. Anyhow, I'm just so excited for you, Chulu. Again, for those who are joining us, we've talked about today's proverb, which is from the Ashanti community. It says that if you are in hiding, don't light a fire. If you're not ready for an opportunity, just don't share it out there yet. If you're not ready to deal with the work that is required for you to even go to Marrakesh, if you're not ready to find a way to buy your ticket, if you're not ready to invest in a community like the one that Chulu is building, do not light that fire, but prepare because everybody's dream is valid, so wherever you are in hiding, just get ready for that moment where you'll jump out and do your thing. That's what I'm learning today. That's what I'm gathering today. But because I'm hosting another podcaster, I have so many questions. I wanted to ask you to share with us. Just respond. Tell me, how did I do? How did I do today as your host? Because you host many people on your show. But then, what is it that I never asked you that you want to talk about?
So I think you have been such a lovely and gracious host. Just from the beginning, behind the scenes, before we even clicked the record button, explaining everything, the expectations. I always think, when somebody is coming in, even the emails that come before, that really sets the tone for how the podcast will go. And I've loved every bit of this conversation. And then what have you not asked? Well, that's an interesting one. I'm not sure. I feel like I don't know. I feel like I've pretty much said a lot of information. I guess maybe some background into the podcast tour. Maybe that's what you haven't asked.
Tell us about it. Tell us about it, please.
Okay, so I'm So the Africana Woman podcast is going on tour in Zambia. And this is the first of its kind in Zambia. So that's, first of all, that's exciting. We're going to 3 cities. We will be in Lusaka, in Kabwe, and in Kitwe. So 3 different provinces. And we are bringing the conversations that we have on the podcast to a live audience. And we want to have candid conversations. In each of the cities, we've got 3 guests who I'm going to interview, but we want it to be as interactive as possible. So there's going to be a lot of networking. There's going to be a lot of, meeting new people, having these deep conversations. So it's going to be a fantastic time. Again, all of the details for that are on the website, africanawoman.com. But I'm very excited because this is the first time that I'm doing it. So it's all very new to me.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I think, if you're willing to be a podcaster, you're willing to be a risk taker, and I think what you're doing with the tour is now engaging with your listeners, but also cultivating new listeners. It's like, I don't know if you guys have radio shows in Zambia that from season to season they go on tour so that they engage with their listeners, and they have these tracks that have been branded with the radio station. They have the radio presenters on the road show, and they do music concerts along the way. And these create a lot of engagement with the radio stations, and the radio stations end up getting sponsors, So my prayer for you is that your podcast gets sponsorship to do more tours, to grow and to thrive. So congratulations. Yeah. So again, to everyone who is joining us, this is going to be part of the end of our conversation today. But I want to ask you to do a couple of things for me. Number one, I want you to join us for the Madaraka Festival. This is an amazing festival. This is the only African festival that has been going on consistently here in the African diaspora. Next year will be 10 years. This is the 9th year of the Madaraka Festival. And, we have Freddie Mooks, who is the chair of the Grammy Academy. Is from Cameroon. He's DJing this festival. We have DJ Black from Kenya, who has been here in the diaspora for a while. DJ Afrisha, who is from the African American community and is amazing. He's going to join us. Oh, and the incredible DJ Poison Ivy, who is originally from Kenya, but is she DJs for the Dallas Mavericks, and she's even DJs at the Super Bowl, she's just so incredibly talented. DJ Les Cadence, who is part of the KEXP radio station here in Seattle. And of course, we have One Vibe Band that consists of some of the most talented African immigrant musicians here in the Pacific Northwest. We have Tacoma Refugee Choir, who are amazing. They are going to be doing a show as part of the Madaraka Festival. Then we have Anthony Cole from Trinidad and Tobago. And it's just an amazing lineup. Of course, we have Dre's from Zimbabwe, King Kaka from Kenya, Eddie Kenzo, and Sauti Sol are headlining this year's show. So join us. Go to madarakafestival.com and be a part of this historic moment. Chulu, as an event organizer, what do you think of this show?
Oh my goodness. First of all, the lineup is just gold. How exciting. Like, I cannot wait for the day that I'll be able to see Sauti Sol live myself. So that's very exciting. And I think it's just lovely to bring Africa to the US, and you get a taste of home for the Africans who are there, and then for people who are not familiar with our culture, you also get a taste of how we vibe, the music we love, and how we party. So it will be a good time.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I can't wait. And I just want to thank my team that is making the Madaraka Festival possible. I want to thank all the sponsors, the partners, our PR partners, Momentum, I just want to thank you all so much, and also the One Vibe Media team that is making this podcast possible. Stella, Lavender, Steve, Martin, Harold, all of you are deeply, deeply appreciated. And this is now the end of our time together today. Chulu, I hope I'll have you on the show again. And I just congratulate you on all your amazing accomplishments, and keep up the good work. Whenever you want to get to Kenya, you want to get to the US, just, I'm an email away.
Thank you
Excellent.
So much. It's been such a pleasure.
Thank you. Take care of yourself. Blessings.
African father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. African father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze.
You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okello, live from Seattle, Washington.